struggling to forgive somebody, listen to this powerful story of Saint Maria Goretti. So Saint Maria was born into a poor family, and so they shared a farmhouse with the Serenelli family. And when she was 9 years old, her father died from malaria, so her mom had to take over her father's role of working in the fields, and then Saint Maria had to take over her mother's role of caring for her 5 siblings. Alex Serenelli, who was 20 years old, started harassing Maria and saying sexual things to her, but she was afraid to tell her mother because of how he was helping her mom with some of the workload, since it was a lot of workload for her mother. Then one day, Alex wanted to take away her virginity, but Maria would not let him and told him that it was a sin and not to do this. So then he stabbed her 9 times, and he thought that she died, so he walked away. She was actually alive, so she managed to unlatch the door and cry out for help. He heard her doing this, and he came back in there and stabbed her another 5 times. She was eventually taken to the hospital, and unfortunately she did die, but her last words were, "I forgive Alexander Serenelli, and I want him to be in heaven with me forever." At this point, Alexander Serenelli, he didn't show any remorse for his behavior, and he lied and said that Saint Maria had came onto him and that he had to unalive her in order to defend himself, whatever. The court didn't believe him, so he was sentenced to 30 years in jail. One day, Saint Maria came to him either in a vision or a dream, and she was giving him flowers one by one, and she gave him 14 flowers, the amount of flowers for the times that he had stabbed her. And he took this as her saying to him that she forgives him, right? So then he ended up actually repenting and changing his ways and becoming a better person, and he was released from prison 3 years early. Then he had went to go find her mother so that he can ask the mom for forgiveness. And so after he had killed her daughter, Saint Maria, she had to give up her 5 other children for adoption because she wasn't able to care for them. He goes to her house and he says to her, "Do you know who I am?" And she says yes. And then he asks her for forgiveness. She says to him, "Maria has forgiven you. God has forgiven you. How can I not forgive you?" And then she forgave him. But so yesterday I saw this comment under a video. Can you imagine being brutally murdered and raped and then seeing your attacker in heaven just because he repented? But so I'm still healing from the time that I was SA'd. That's how I found out about Saint Maria Goretti. But so going off of that comment, at first I'm like, yeah, the person that did that to me, like, they can be in heaven if they repent, right? But that's not how Saint Maria Goretti thought. Even before Alex repented, she said, "I forgive you, and I still want him to be in heaven with me," right? And so obviously it's like, who am I to decide who gets to go to heaven and who gets to go to hell, right? And so part of me says that I forgive, but I don't know if that's actually true in my heart. So if I saw this person in heaven, it's like, I don't think I would get mad, but at the same time, I wouldn't really want to hang out with them, and I guess I wouldn't really want to see them. But what I want to do now is just ask Saint Maria to pray for me and to give me to the strength to actually forgive and to actually meet